As a reenactor, I've been doing this since I was probably 14 years old. Civil War reenacting initially, and I'm CEO of the 2nd Rhode Island Volunteer Infantry. I'm also a member of the Maryland Forces. And what I enjoy doing about this, I grew up here in Cumberland. If you look off to my right, that's Wills Mountain. Other side of that mountain is where I grew up as a small boy. I hunted up there, I fished up there, I lived on Jennings Run and Wills Creek, which is very historical areas. As a small boy, I'd find arrowheads, stone axes, grinding tools, things from the Native Americans. That really intrigued me about this period. One of the things I found up there as a small boy was a piece of bar shot. That's a piece of a cannonball. It's in two pieces. Just one piece of the bar shot, and stamped in it was a British broad arrow. So I knew it was British. How it got to Jennings Run, no idea, but it was had to come out through Cache Valley somehow while the British Army was here at this fort. Now, we're not, as a young man growing up here, the only thing we knew about Fort Cumberland was that there were tunnels underneath the fort, underneath the church, and that George Washington was here. So we didn't get the full history of what Fort Cumberland was all about. This is a very significant fort. And also it's more significant even further on in history, because in 1804, Thomas Jefferson got allocated money to begin the movement westward and build the National Highway, which is the old U.S. Route 40, to go to what was the Northwest Territories, Mecca for these settlers that were here. So now we got a new highway being built, which is supposed to go to Vidalia, Illinois. It didn't really get there until about 1840 so, because there were a lot of things going on in the time that was built. And the road was built with macadam. If you all know what macadam is nothing but gravel at different levels, from thick to thin to hammered, and it's rolled down. And it costs more money to maintain the national road than it takes to build it. Thomas Jefferson was allocated $32,000 to build the road, and they were spending that the second year just resurfacing the road and building it to go further. It took a long time. But we also don't understand, as our society is building here, that things were happening. There was the War of 1812. There was the War of Mexico. There was the Gold Rush. And after thinking about 1803, the Louisiana Purchase, plus we now own the 6,220,000 acres of land in the middle ground. Now we inherited 800 million more acres. And everybody wanted to go west. We had to have those terminuses. Fort Cumberland was the starting point for that, for a lot of settlers trying to go west. So it's also important. And this is things we don't understand. The role I portray, and I help other organizations, I portray a hunter who lived here in this area, who got tired of long hunting and spending months and months and months hunting and working with the traders. And I decided to ask for some land. I was given 1,000 acres that I could farm on. And then I became a hunter farmer, and I was a hoe farmer. That's what I did but I tried to stay away from the stinking militia. Well, guess what? When you become a farmer, you're now going to join the militia. Between the ages of 16 and 60, you became part of that army, the state militia. I was then hauled in for the Maryland Forces when they recruited the army, and that's how I got here today. But as you can see, I have my gear that was issued. Not all of us have the same gear. Some of us have very late model brown besses. I'm carrying a 1742 brown bess because that's all they had to issue me. And this thing weighs 14 pounds. And
so pick it up and talk to me a little bit about what...
This is the Longland Pattern 1742 brown bess. This brown bess was issued, actually called the Queen Anne's brown bess also. And there's all different reasons why they call it a brown bess. There were some folks who said that because King George I, II, and III were all Germans, and King George II wanted a big gun, brawn boost. That's where you got the term brown bess. We really don't know where the term brown bess came from. That's just one of the things they tell you about. But this musket, it's not a rifle, it's a musket, smoothbore, weighs 14 pounds. The commanding general of the British Army, Lord Baltimore, who's the brother of King George II, said, that thing's too heavy for the soldiers to carry. We need to lighten it. So they did. The 1756 pattern you'll see most of the men here. This weapon was cut down from about 14 pounds to 11 pounds. And later, the following version used during the Revolutionary War weighed up to only 9 pounds. But they still carried, it was still called the Brown Bess, same functionality, but the stock was thinner, the brass was thinner, the barrel was shorter, but it still served the purpose. But being a hunter, I'm only a soldier out here, living on the frontier, and knowing about the Indians, having been in a militia, I also carry my powder horn and my shooting bag, because I want the capability of doing more things with my weapon than the 19 rounds of ammunition I have. I don't want to have to start rolling ammunition in the middle of a firefight with the savages that are here. So that's what you see here when you see me walking around. They think I'm some kind of old codger, but this is what was required. I spent some time building a horn here for Fort Frederick. When I was here, I had a lot of time on my hands too. Well, trust me. So I made this horn and I made this bag just to occupy my time. And soldiers had a lot of free time here. There was also women here at the fort. However, we have to understand as soldiers that these women were camp followers. And what those ladies had to do, they were probably the busiest people in the Army. They had to do the laundry, they had to do the cooking, and they had to take care of the soldiers in the infirmary. And so they were given an allowance for food, but they were also the wives of sergeants. If a sergeant passed away, was killed in action, his wife had 5 days to find a new sergeant to get married, or else she was left. She lost her rations. So, and as a farmer, hunter farmer, I was always out looking for a wife, so I needed children, because I needed children for my farm to become farm hands, as well as protect my cabin and stuff. So that's pretty much my story while I'm here. I enjoy coming here because I grew up here in Cumberland. I look around and I see paintings, and there's a beautiful painting in the church here of Fort Cumberland. I looked up over Wills Mountain, and I think it's a small boy running over that mountain hunting as a kid, with my father, my cousins, deer hunting, squirrel hunting, rabbit hunting, and fishing all the time, and swimming in the creeks. So that's how I grew up, and that's why I love coming back here. And I hope as the new generation comes into our city here, and it is changing rapidly. I mean, the old guard is slowly moving on, that they begin to appreciate how important this city is and how it grew. And hopefully in the future we'll see more growth in Cumberland and more people coming here to enjoy things like the Heritage Days and the Whiskey Rebellion that we did last night plays a major role. And that's my story. I'm sticking to it.